Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Welcome, everybody. How you doing? Happy Saturday to you. I'm here, and I can't even begin to tell you how excited we are here at the E360 Television Network and the Trajectory TV Network to bring you this 90-minute television special today. Now, for those of you who follow us and have for the last decade or so, you know that here at our networks, we really take it seriously, bringing you great content that you, in most cases, can't find anywhere else, or it's hard to find it. Today, we're really proud to bring you a great special that really focuses on a lot you might not know about that experience with you and your pets. The importance of pets in our lives. We've all heard that people who say that pets are just animals. And if you have a pet or ever have, you know that's just not true, as though somehow they're not important in our lives. Well, these people have likely never owned a loyal dog or a loving cat, and their words couldn't be further from the truth. So what do we do about that? Well, most pet owners will know how wonderful owning an animal can be, and they'll understand the companionship and how beautiful bonds can be formed between animals and humans. There are so many wonderful benefits to owning a pet. And they're endless. Just to name a few, they're good for our health. They give us unconditional love. They offer emotional support. And that's just to name a few. Today, you're going to learn some other shades, if you will, to the paint strip of owning and communicating with our pets, our animals. So I'm so excited to get this going for you. We are going to do something we've never done before on one of our 90-minute specials, because for us, and we talked about this as a team, we feel this is a sacred topic. And so we want to start today's special with the Ho'oponopono prayer, and then we'll get our guests and our experts on the screen. Enjoy.
I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me, thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ute Luppertz. I'm the owner of Pets Point of View, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with all of you. And I wanted to share a little bit about the work that I'm doing. I feel very honored and very privileged about what I get to do. And my work is with animals, as Lauren said. And I want to tell you a little bit about how I got to do the work that I'm doing now. And then we dive in with some very, very special guests that I invited to the show today. My background is in special education. So I used to work with children for many years. And the reason that I'm interested in specialness is I was always curious about how are people different than from what I understand? And then eventually this interest also translated into my work with animals, so that I was asking myself, I have a dog, I have a cat, I also had a little parrot for many years, which was very, very special. What is it that makes an animal different than what I anticipate an animal is supposed to do? Like, we expect a dog to do certain things, we expect cats to do certain things, and horses, and you name it. You know, some people have exotic pets. You know, my little parrot, she was not a pet, she was wild. And I also designed a space for her in my house where she could be wild. She had a little jungle gym. And in the early days of my work with animals, I was very focused on the nervous system and on rehabilitation, meaning trauma, illness, you name it. And this started over 20 years ago when literally a kitten showed up on my doorstep, my cat Moopy. It's a very, very fascinating saga. And soon thereafter, I got her boyfriend because she loved me, but she was bored with me because I wasn't a cat. I was just, nice and fun, but I didn't jump as high. I didn't climb on trees with her. I just got her down from trees because she didn't know how to get down. And then I got her Marlowe, my beautiful, beautiful Marlowe. I have one of his photos is on my website also. And Marlowe came to us severely ill. He was about, I want to say, 3 months old when I got him from the shelter, and he was deathly sick. And I now know why he was so sick. Back in the day, we were all totally befuddled, and even the veterinarians couldn't figure out what it was. So the short of it was that I did not know whether he would survive to become an adult cat because he had so many issues. And I worked with professionals, with veterinarians, obviously. And then I started learning about feline nutrition. And back in the day, that wasn't a thing to do, like, say, raw food diets, for example. And I'm not trying to promote anything here. I just had to figure out some things to help his immune system develop. And so, and then I did holistic veterinary. I worked with a holistic veterinarian, and Marlowe made it. He made it. So that was my entry into holistic animal care. What about nutrition? What about supplementation? What about medication? And what really supports a young animal that comes from questionable circumstances? He came from the streets with his family, and then he was surrendered to a shelter. How can we support that? And there's no guarantee. I can just say I learned a lot, and it was super fun, and the cats were thriving. They loved the food that I served them, and I thought, this is a good hotel. This is where we're going to stay. So they were super, super happy. And then another thing happened for me, and I now notice that I forgot to tell you what I do with animals. So I worked for a very long time with trauma. And then I transitioned into animal communication, which I was very concerned about as a label, because a lot of people think it's a woo-woo thing. And for me, it's actually a way to understand consciousness that is different than my own. And I know how to do this with people when people are in a space with me that they want me to connect with them on that level, when they want to connect with me on that level. And with animals, I felt there was a barrier and a concern for me. And that is when my dog Shiva showed up. And I will share more about Shiva very shortly. And I would like to introduce my very first guest. And before I do this, I wanted to let you know the show is 90 minutes long. And then at the end of the show, we transition to my Facebook page with a Q&A. So that's a little bit about me. I will share more about my work when we are in our roundtable. And my very first guest is Kelly Sattel. And maybe Kelly, you can come on stage. Hi, Kelly. Nice to see you. How are you today?
I'm doing so good today, Uta. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who has made this possible for us to connect on this platform today, and for everyone who's spending their time with us.
Lovely. So, Kelly, this is a time for you to share with us a little bit about your work. What do you do? Why do you do it? And then later in the roundtable, we talk about animals a little bit more.
Good.
So you want to share with us?
Sure. Thank you, Uta. So hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Sattel, and I am located in Portland, Oregon. I'm the co-founder of the Yoga for Life community here in Portland. We've been a yoga community for over 14 years. I've been teaching yoga for about 16 years and practicing for probably about 19 years. And yoga for me is something much deeper than just the physical aspect of the practice. I was very young when I started having a lot of back pain. I was a preteen. My mother took me to an osteopath who said, you have scoliosis and spondylolisthesis, and sent me to Children's Hospital to get a plastic back brace, and told me to keep my core strong and wear this back brace. And so I did. And as I grew older in my 20s, I started having herniated discs in my neck and back, just absolutely debilitating nerve pain. And I started having heavy medications that would help me get through the day. So prednisone, muscle relaxants, ibuprofen, going through constant physical therapy in my early 20s. And I knew that this wasn't a good prognosis for the rest of my life. I didn't feel well while I was on those medications. I was constantly missing work. I was really missing out in life, and I was in so much pain. And one of the biofeedback practitioners I went to in my healing journey had recommended that I try yoga. And to be honest, I was so unenthused about the idea of yoga. I thought, how am I ever going to move my body when I'm in so much pain? But I was so desperate that I started taking one step at a time. I started taking yoga classes. I started deepening my practice. And as I did, I started feeling better physically. And then I started eating better. And then I started noticing that my mental and emotional state became better. So I got very curious, what is this yoga really all about? And in essence, yoga is really about realizing who we truly are. And it is far beyond sort of the magazine pictures and the Instagram shots of yoga poses. Those are absolutely beautiful. But what is even more beautiful is who we truly are within. And that connects to me through pets, because I think that pets always know who they are, and they show us and demonstrate that for us. And just what Uta was saying about consciousness, pets are consciousness, just in a different suit. They're just in a different mask. And so if we can start to communicate and really understand them, it helps reflect back to us who we truly are. So that's been a little bit about my journey, and also, a little bit about how that connects to pets for me as well.
Beautiful. Do you have any special offerings coming up, Kelly?
We do. So Yoga for Life offers an annual yoga training program, which is a quite deep and profound healing journey. We offer that here in Portland, but we've had several people come and travel from both nationally and internationally to take that program with us. That's in September. And then we have an annual retreat. This year we're going to India. That's in December. Our usual annual retreat destination is Nepal, but this year we're headed to India in December.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And do you want to share the names of your cats? I sent a video out. I hope we get to see that later, where I made a collage of all the animals that are in our field. Would you just briefly introduce your animals to us?
Oh my goodness. I would love to say their names in this format and this forum, because just hearing their names makes them feel present, even though they're no longer with me.
Yeah.
So our 21-year-old kitty, Miss Curry, she transitioned last year. She crossed the Rainbow Bridge last year. And her brother was Cole. He was 17 and he crossed the Rainbow Bridge in 2018. And just beautiful, beautiful creatures. It was just a pleasure to know them and to especially have you work with them, Uta.
Thank you. Thank you. So is there anything else that you can share that connects yoga and animals? I know in Portland, Oregon, there's some crazy things such as goat yoga and stuff like that. So I have a particular, I would say my cat is a yogini. She does yoga all the time, you know. So is there a connection for you between yoga and your cats?
Absolutely. The deeper we go into understanding ourselves, the more we start to hear the wisdom that is around us. And when we hear the wisdom that is around us, we can also hear the wisdom in other people communicating with us. And one experience that I had with Miss Curry, one day, this was maybe 3 years ago, we were sitting on the couch here at home, and she was just gently and calmly sitting next to me. And I asked her, Miss Curry, who owns who? Because in our dynamic, I'm not really Miss Curry's owner. She was very much a part of this family. And I quietly sat with pondering this question, who owns who? And what came to me, and I like to think and understand that this came from Miss Curry, was that we coexist. We're not owners of each other. And in yoga, we refer to this understanding and hearing wisdom from others as what's referred to as siddhis, or special powers.
Yeah.
And as you deepen your connection to yourself, to your aspect of consciousness, you're able to have more intuitive insight, more intuitive communication with other beings, particularly animals. They just love that. So I think for me, that's how I've been able to deepen my connection with animals, is through the layers of the yoga practice.
Well said. Well said. I could not agree more. This is very, very beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I believe that it is time for our next person to come on screen before we all meet. And maybe we can ask Ender to come, and then we all gather together. There he is. Hi, Ender.
Hi, Ute. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. And how are you? So, same question for you. Tell us a little bit about your mission, your professional development, and what you're doing right now. And we'll talk about your cat too, of course. But
Well, I think we're talking about animals and how much we value them, right? I should start by saying that, long story short, when I was about 6 years old, maybe 5.5, 6, my father got me Remus. I didn't ask for anything. And we went, he said one day, okay, I'm going to take you somewhere special. We're going to do something. We're going to find a friend that is going to help you. You know, he said many wonderful things about him. I was like, okay, I was a child. So we went, found Remus, and Remus became,
it's your cat. Remus is your cat, right?
Yes. Remus is my cat. And
Yeah.
we became, you know, it was never an ownership thing, or it was like a partnership. And it was a very difficult period when I was 12 or so, when my dad, my dad got out of the picture. And long story short, I was adopted by my grandma. And in all this time, what I've learned is that this connection with Remus, which is just, you know, the basis of it was companionship. It became a portal to animal consciousness, and that is what you know. That's where I'm all about nowadays: animal consciousness and galactic consciousness. Which I know these are some people use the term esoteric, some people use the term woo woo woo, or but it is definitely the core of what I'm interested in, which is not easy because it's not a grounding activity. So the best thing to do is to have a job. That's the best thing. The most grounding thing you can do is have a real job here on the earth. So I work for KBOO Community Radio, which is the oldest community radio station in Portland and in Oregon, one of the oldest and actually most well-known and respected throughout the country in the field of community radio, you know, which I found out last year when we went to a conference in Denver. So KBOO, I started with KBOO as a volunteer, and I started by basically, I have a radio show that you know, Squirrels Know. And it's a radio show where I really, really explore galactic consciousness and animal consciousness and how these two are completely intertwined, which is, I don't hear a lot of people talking about that. And that the radio station has given me a platform to express myself, which is what I do now. I am public affairs director at KBOO, which means that I oversee all of public affairs programming, all of the talk shows. And I do feel that now I am in a position where I can help people have that platform to express themselves, to share their opinions and their topics of interest. And it's really fun to do that. Yeah.
And tell us the name again of your show. You said it very quickly.
Oh, the name of my show is Squirrels Know,
Mm-hmm.
like as in squirrels know you.
Yeah.
And you can just type it in on your web browser. It will show up, and
Yeah.
it's just like most shows that are on KBOO Community Radio here in Portland, Oregon. It's a very grassroots show, you know. And again, I explore galactic consciousness, animal consciousness, and what I consider a new time for Earth that we are entering now, which is very different from what you will get from mainstream media or the things of the world. And that's that. Yeah.
This is awesome. This is awesome. So, in Ender, people can find you on your website, Ender Remus.
I do have a website, enderremus.com. And I'm preparing to do things that I haven't done before. I've been purposefully away from social media and from, I guess you would call the public eye, for reasons that I can explain later. And yeah, you can find whatever update that I have definitely on enderremus.com. I also invite you to go to the page for my radio show. That would be kboo.fm/squirrelsknow, or just type it on your web browser. And I explain a lot of my inner core work that I do.
Beautiful. And also, I was a guest on your show, so there is a potential that other people could apply to be guests with you. Is that correct?
Definitely. And I have to say before we go up to the next guest is that I, as my job as public affairs director at one of the oldest community radio stations in Oregon and the country, it is my pleasure to be able to help others have a platform to speak about what they want to speak about. So public affairs at kboo.org, public affairs at kboo.org, that will be my email. And I will be glad to help anybody speak about the things they want to talk about and have it on a legitimate platform.
Awesome. And I can say, not just me, but there were some very, very interesting guests that you had, people that are nationally known. So, Ender, you are rocking it. I can say that. You're rocking it. So we'll talk a little bit more later also about Remus. And I would like to welcome my next guest, which is Ava Adenolfi. Hey, hey, Ava, how are you? You are muted. I can't hear you.
Hi there. Um, I'm good. I'm normally on the back end of these things, so it's kind of fun to be public facing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So tell us a little bit about where you are, who you are, what you do right now, and how you got there.
Yeah, so I currently live just outside of Asheville, North Carolina, which is I hear kind of the East Coast, Portland.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the energy is similar. And yeah, I do a couple of things for a long time now. I've done a lot of like administrative work, working for coaches and course creators, helping them get their offerings out into the world, doing like a lot of thought partnership and implementation. And I still do some of that. I'm also in this big transition since my two sweet girls, cats, died last year. I feel like it's been a big portal of awakening and transformation and all these things.
yeah.
And in the middle of that transition, I also started a business with two friends called Asheville Quantum Wholeness, where we have this really amazing piece of technology called the Quantum Energy Wellness Bed.
What
And
is that? What is
it's amazing. It's been a little bit of a lifeline for me, to say the least, through this grief process that I've been going through. It's for me personally, it's been a place for me to grieve and cry and expand my heart and transform. It also, before I had it in my business, both of my cats used it in distant sessions. So it can be really beautiful. Just how you can do Reiki long distance, you can do this kind of energy work long distance. Although, if you are in the area, please come get on the bed physically. That's definitely amazing. But if you have pets or if you're not around, distance sessions are just a really beautiful way to help center yourself,
Yes.
open yourself up to the deepest parts of you that you're longing to connect with. There's so much beauty that I can say about it. But yeah, it's just been really amazing having this piece of technology for my own personal journey. And then to watch people come out. People are always glowing when they walk out of the room. It's really amazing to witness.
I can say I am doing distance sessions on the quantum energy wellness bed, and so does my dog and my cat, even when they're not booked, but they come on the distant bed with me. What would be reasons for people to reach out? You talked about your own process, so it helped you with your emotions. I do it for reasons to do some stress relief and to be energetically more attuned, right? So what
Yeah.
are the reasons for people to want to learn about this? Because it's very new technology.
It is very new technology, and so one of the beautiful things about the bed is that it works so uniquely with each person. Like, there's technology out there that you can program and say, I want to do this. That's not necessarily how this works. When I was doing it for Mystery, my cat who had mammary cancer, that was really the reason that I was having her do it. And what it felt like she experienced, just to give you a little bit of the pet side of this, is it felt like it was a bit of a break for her from her inflammation that was happening in her body. And it was just this moment where she could really tap in to her divinity and her sense of oneness outside of the pain and stuff that was occurring in her body. So it was some relief, really, more than anything. But a lot of people, they come for sleep. It helps them with their sleep. People have reported it supporting their pain. But I would say it works us on all levels, right? You've got the mental, the energetic, the spiritual, the emotional, the physical, right? So it's really working us in all these ways. Like, I've had a lot of emotional support and heart opening, but also I've had some thyroid issues that came up. And as I open up my heart and work on that, my thyroid's also getting healed. So is working you on all the layers. That's why we named our business Asheville Quantum Wholeness, because it's really about helping you come back into that natural state of wholeness that we already are, that already exists.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So we will transition now and bring our next guest on, which is Lindsay. Thank you so much. And people can get a hold of you at Asheville Quantum Wellness. And here is Lindsay. Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
Hi, Uta. So good. Thank you for having me on this and including me here.
You are so welcome. Now, Lindsay, it's your turn to shine. So tell us a little bit about your journey and your healing mission in the world and what you do.
Awesome. Yeah, I am located in Portland, Oregon. I own a healing studio called Pinecone Healing. And Pinecone Healing, my work is really just about embodying wellness, beauty, and healing into a daily practice. Combining hair ritual and energy healing and just creating a more one-on-one environment for my clients, really bringing us back down, grounding in, and just doing more self-care. The hair industry, I just like to bring a new narrative and a new way of thinking about a traditional haircut.
So you do healing with hair. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah, I worked in the salon environments for almost 2 decades, and it just got really overwhelming and hard on my nervous system. There's a stylist on each side, the music's loud, everything's really overwhelming. And so I took a step back and I started doing hair part-time, and then I started my energy practice. And I decided I wanted to blend those modalities together and really create more of a healing environment for my clients.
Beautiful. And what does it look like when I book a hair or head healing session? You have particular modalities. I know you cut my hair and you do mindfulness moments, but you also do other sessions, right? So what are they called?
Yeah, so I have a hair and healing session, which is really about bringing a few different modalities I work with. I just finished my Reiki teacher training in Mount Shasta last summer, which was a beautiful experience. I studied at the Energy Healing Institute, and I bring in clairvoyant observation, shamanic practices, herbalism, all play a part in my hair and healing sessions. And so, yeah, I feel like one thing we don't talk about enough is our emotional body, right? We talk so much about the physical, but if we hold our arms out at length, this diameter is actually where our body starts, our emotional body. And we have 7 layers of aura that connect into our 7 major chakras, and they all work and talk together throughout the day. And things get stuck in our emotional body, things like anxiety, grief, trauma, family patterning, all that stuff hangs out in our emotional body. And if we don't cleanse and clear it out, then it starts to manifest in the physical body. And our hair is an extension of that as well. Everything we experience in our physical and emotional body, we feel it here too. So our hair also holds energy. So when you go in for a haircut and you take 2 or 3 inches off, really thinking about what you've been going through in the last few months, what you've been holding, because it is a release and a purge. And same with scalp health, everything we experience in the physical body and the emotional body, we feel here too. So when we get hair loss or your hair feels brittle or dry, really thinking about, like, do I have too hot of a constitution, too cool of a constitution, if you want to think of it from more of an Ayurvedic standpoint, but really the whole of the person, and really just bringing in more guided meditation, mindfulness, just really honoring ourselves and creating more self-care in a hair session and really changing the way we think of a traditional haircut.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, this is maybe a clumsy transition, but I just do it. I know you have dogs.
Yes.
Do you cut your dog's hair?
Well, the pandemic was a really great opportunity to try that out. No, I do not. And I have a lot of respect for groomers.
I just thought I bring that in a non-elegant way, because I know both dogs, and now we have Diego. And they both have curly hair, natural perms. I was just curious whether you have worked.
Well, what I will say that I do bring in from my hair with my animals is that when we brush our hair, we're also actually shifting energy. And I like to think of that in the same way when I'm with my dogs and really brushing and pulling and shifting that energy for them as well.
Yes.
They have an emotional body too, and they hold things. And so, yeah, really creating more of that hair ritual for them as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Very, very beautiful. And people can reach out to you and find out about potential trainings that you might offer. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm working on the Pinecone healing method that will be a way for hairstylists to learn ways that they can maybe bring in some of their own energy healing to their practices as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Very, very beautiful. This is so awesome. Who knew that we do all of these amazing things, right? And I feel so grateful that I found you, and for just some reasons of vanity also. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm human, but so thank you so much. Now, so thank you. And we'll have more opportunities to share. And before we all gather, there is at least one video that is queued up, and I hope we get to see this before we all join together in our roundtable discussion. And I'm just... Hi, my name is Ute. I am an animal communicator and a pet death doula. When I work with animals, especially when they're getting closer to the threshold, I am in awe and I feel honored when they allow me to access the inner world, when they allow me to feel and see their wisdom and the preparation for whatever is beyond the veil. I want to invite you to join me in this exploration. I want to invite you to discover the mystery that our animal friends are willing to share with us when we get quiet and receptive. Thank you so very much. All right. It makes me cry to see this, even though I created this. So here we are all together. So I wanted to thank you again. This was so beautiful to be the host for you, because usually I'm the one that gets interviewed. It's so beautiful. And before we dive into our sacred communication with each other, I wanted to say something that I wanted to say something about my mission. And for those of you who listen to us, whatever we are talking about, and also what you heard everybody talk about earlier, take what resonates, even if you don't do hair, or if you're not a yoga teacher, radio host, or have a quantum wellness spa, or work with animals. Just take whatever resonates, take it into your heart, and see how that can permeate out when you encounter your own pets or other people's animals, or wildlife, for all I know, or trees. It doesn't matter, right? I wanted to quickly add something onto the monologue that I had earlier, and then we dive in. Is that okay with you? Yeah? Okay, thank you. So when I started talking by myself, watching myself here, I talked about rehab, and then I transitioned into animal communication. And one of the catalysts for that was my pit bull Shiva, who is also featured on my website for those of you who are interested to learn more about him. And the cats were natural teachers, but Shiva was like the teacher that kicked me into gear, into the next incarnation of what I was supposed to do here on Earth, right? And this was all about how do I attune my energy, which are already, the cats were my trainers. And Shiva came, and Shiva died. I got him as an older dog, and he didn't live all that long. And I saw it in his aura all along. I just didn't understand at the time what I was seeing. And when he passed away here in my home, in my living room, it became absolutely crystal clear, A, that I have to come out of the closet with my intuitive capacities, because I was kind of a little bit, hiding it. And B, that one of the missions of my work is to shift the perception of death, I say death, we can call it transition, going to a different sphere. I don't care what people call it, right? And I had the extraordinary privilege to work with each one of you also. I consider you my friends. I consider you my tribe, but I also had the pleasure and the privilege to work with you. With some of your animals, I worked when they were alive. With Remus, I worked after his crossing over. And it is absolutely amazing for me. So why is this so important for me? And then we dive into our conversation here. I really feel that we are collectively programmed to have a certain mindset around death and dying, like everything is over. In my experience, that is not true. And that doesn't mean you have to convert to a new age church or anything like that. For me, it is about how can I open up to this process that is painful and gut wrenching and heart achy and all of the things, and see it as an initiation into a different level of consciousness. You know, big words. When we're in the throes of hospice with people or with animals, we don't think about that necessarily. But I really feel there is something absolutely sacred and expansive where we can learn more about who we are and about our limitations that might prevent us from seeing the bigger picture. For me, people often say, Uta, how can you work with dying animals? That must be really hard for you. And it's actually not. It is so incredibly amazing for me to access souls on that level and to usher and support the families and the animals into that next phase. You know, and those of you who, I didn't say this earlier, one of my job descriptions that I designed is being an animal death doula. And that means for me that I am journeying with you, with any family, and with the animal through the end of life and support people to access a bigger reality than what we think it is. With animals in particular, most animals have what I call a scheduled death, in common language called euthanasia. Some animals die naturally. There are different ideas about what is better. I don't have any bias. Some of my animals died naturally, others didn't. Some had died very abruptly. There were illnesses brewing we didn't know about. And others, I knew it was coming. It was a process, right? And so my mission is to really shift the paradigm that we don't objectify the experience with animals. You know, when we have humans, we do not talk about putting a person down. We do not talk about we have to make the decision for them. You know, granted, with animals, I pick up the phone and I do all of the end of life things. But I really believe that there is a possibility to have a bigger, more expanded view of the choices that happen on a soul level. That doesn't make it pretty, by the way. We're not selling Disney movies here, right? But the choices that can happen on a soul level that initiate me into a greater version of who I was. And I can honestly say it happened with every single passing in my own home. It continues to happen with every single passing that I can support people with when their animals are dying. And also, I have worked with many people, and Ender, you're one of them. And I just want to give that as an example here. We can also heal things and integrate things after the passing of an animal. Yeah. So there are endless opportunities for us to grow as people and for us to also harmonize the planetary frequency. You know, we all do amazing things. And for me, yoga, like you said, Kelly, isn't just yoga, or Lindsay, hair isn't just hair. Radio isn't just radio. The bed isn't just the bed. The stuff that I do isn't just that. It is permeating. We're all agents of amplifying the frequency of the planet. And that's what I'm really excited about. And for me, animals are the greatest messengers. That's why I do animal work. Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that in here because it is something I'm absolutely passionate about. And anybody who asks me what I want to do when I get old, and I say, A, I am old, and B, I'll do this till I die. There is no way I'm never going to do it. No way. Right? So that's my spiel here. And you each had a flavor of my work in different ways. And I had a flavor of your work also, which I am so excited about, that I share so many different connection points with each of you. And you now begin to share these connection points also with each other, and hopefully with our audience as well. And the next part of this is that I wanted to ask you some questions to ponder. And please speak freely, give us examples of what you experienced, whatever you feel called to share with us. And let me just look at my notes here for a moment, because it's a little bit discombobulated. So there probably, when I ask you these questions, just really feel into yourself, in your heart, in your soul. You might have more than one answer, but just speak to what comes up in the moment. Yeah. And the first question I have for you: what was a pivotal moment, like a marker in your life with your animal or animals? As I said, there might be more than one, but what comes to mind right off the bat? And just speak freely into the space here. Yeah.
I can start. I think what comes to mind for me was when my cat crossed over. Simple.
Yeah.
It changed my life entirely. Yeah, it's amazing.
And what changed, Ender?
Well, I'm a young person, as you can tell. I had when my cat came into my life, when I came into his life, I was about 6 years old, and when he decided to cross over, I was 21, and it wasn't expected. He was perfectly fine until he wasn't. So I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't prepare myself for it. He was 16 and a half, or almost 17, and it never in my brain never I never actually figured out that wait a second, that's old age, maybe I should do some preparations. I never did, and it caught me off guard. And although I've been able to have a real good control over my emotions the past many years, I couldn't, like I was completely, I've never felt so much despair in my entire life, even with all the experiences I've had, which, if I share them, you would be like, wow, really? Mm-hmm. Yes, I've never felt so much despair and an inability to understand what I would do. Mm-hmm. And so that changed everything. And this, in addition to extra sensorial things that happened after he crossed over, and the few minutes before he crossed over, it changed my life. And I don't know how I found you, Ute. I think it was on the internet. I was my guides, my team was like, okay, you have to find Ute. I was like, okay. And then I found you, and that session with you was incredibly helpful. It helped me recognize my own ability. And it changed my life. I'm a completely different person now, and I don't know what to say about and I still communicate with Rimas often. It's just a very different communication, very different relationship we have now, but it's there. It doesn't stop. So
beautiful. I think I'm a crybaby today. I'm just so touched by what I heard you say, Ender. Thank you. Whew. Let's hear from someone else. Ava, what about you?
I'm totally gonna cry. I would say the same. That if I have to pick one, then it would be Nessa's death, which was just in December. And when you call it an initiation, it's like just the perfect word. I had no idea that I could experience such pain, and I've again also agree. Yeah, been through some stuff, but it was definitely one of the darkest times in my life. I feel like I died with her. And you hear people talk about Phoenix moments, and I feel like I spent several months just like in the ashes, in the ashes. And I'm slowly making my descent out of the ashes. So I'm not fully sure what's on the other side of this. But yeah, that would for sure be the most pivotal moment. And one last thing I'll say about that is my girls' names are Nessa and Mystery, and Nessa means holy. And so through this initiation right now, I've sort of named what I'm walking in this moment, the Holy Mystery. And it just feels like this really beautiful opportunity to really start appreciating the sweetness and the awe of life through this learning through death.
Stop making me cry.
I know.
Thank you. Thank you. No, don't stop making me cry. Don't. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll talk some more. And what about you, Kelly?
Oh my goodness, I love that, Ava, the Holy Mystery, how profound and resonant that is. It gave me full body chills a couple of times. In terms of deep experiences with animals, I have to say, Miss Curry really, boy, helped me tune into myself so much more. So the story is that when Miss Curry's brother passed away, Cole, he passed away in 2018, Miss Curry was so forlorn. She was absolutely beside herself, meowing and pining after him. And you could tell that she was absolutely heartbroken. And this went on for several years. And fast forward to 2021, during the height of COVID, my partner, Raj, his father had passed away in March of 2021. And then his mother shortly thereafter got sick and also passed away in May of 2021. And when Raj returned back home, Miss Curry had a renewed sense of purpose that she had not had since Cole's passing. She had given up everything for Cole during their shared life together. She had let him eat more off of the same plate. She had let him have more attention. She had let him really be the alpha kind of attention seeker of our sweet animal companions. And because that was her sort of purpose, it was almost felt like her soul's mission to give up for another and to caregive for another. When she wasn't able to caregive for him after he passed, she was very lost. And so when Raj's parents passed away, she immediately stepped in to be by his side regularly. It was the most profound behavior change. And she had a sense of purpose in taking care of Raj emotionally. She sat next to him every day when he worked from home. She slept next to him, curled up so tightly next to his shoulder. She would gently meow at him and check in on him in the night, almost as if to say, "Are you okay, my baby? Are you okay, my sweet?" And it was the most endearing behavior to watch. Not only that she was providing comfort and caregiving again, but also that Raj was being taken care of by this stoic and huge-hearted presence that Miss Curry offered. And what was really fascinating is that Miss Curry very suddenly and unexpectedly passed away in 2023, in April of 2023, here at home. And Raj was able to hold the space for her as she was transitioning through that portal into the other dimension, into the other space behind the veil. He was able to hold that space where I wasn't. Mm-hmm. And perhaps it was the exchange of holding space, Miss Curry holding space for the deep emotional loss that Raj was experiencing with his parents. And now she had taught him how to do that. And now he was doing that for both her and for me as she was making her way into the other realms. So just incredible teaching that has come from her, and just from her being, just being. She didn't have to have words. She didn't have to overdo. She just was. So absolutely magical.
Wow. 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 What a perfect example of how animals can teach us, right? What a perfect example. Now to you, Lindsay, our sole dog person, and I'm privileged to say I know both of your dogs. All right.
Yes, I'm still crying over all these beautiful stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first I'll just say, you know, I was lucky to grow up on 80 acres and we had horses and pigs and chickens, bunnies. So I've had a connection to animals all my life. But I will say this most recent experience, we just lost our dog Spinky in April, actually. So it's still really recent. He was a Schnauzer mix, and he loved to talk and tell you stories all day long. He was a wild man. And so we hired Uta to come and help us figure out his wild side, because we just were having a hard time. But one of the things that came out of it was so profound for me. And one of it is because he was only 20 pounds, you know, we'd always just pick him up whenever we wanted to. And he would growl a little, or we called it side chiclet because he'd give us just like a little bit of his teeth. And Uta said, well, did you ask for permission to pick him up? And I remember really sitting with that, Uta, when you said that, because I never thought about the permission piece and how important it is to ask for permission in every part of our life. And so afterwards, Binky and I started to build this new relationship with, if I wanted to pick him up, I would ask. And if he rolled over and showed his belly, that meant, no, but you can give me belly rubs, but you can't pick me up. And if he did, he would lift his legs and I would know it was okay. And just being able to build those beautiful connections with their dogs and how they respond. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. And guess what? I just got a little note here. I made a little video collage, a tiny video collage of your animals. And before we go into the next phase and get some more Kleenex out, people who watch us, I would love for us to watch this little compilation of your beloved animals. So. I just have the tears coming. This is why I love this work. I can cry for free. This is why I love this work. So you all got a copy of this, you know, when I got the images and I could compile this. So I just totally love this compilation. Now let's talk, you know, we talked about, a lot of us talked about the transitions, and Lindsay, you talked about permission, which for me is sacred also with people. I call it ask for consent when I'm talking to people. And with animals, you know, we overhandle them often, right? Now let's transition into something else that might be interesting. I think it's very interesting. I can say, in all honesty, I adore my animals. I worship my cats. I love my dogs. My parrot ran the house. She was like this little, a little crippled Senegal parrot, who I also wrote an essay about. And but there were also moments when I went like, ah, right? When I'm going like, oh no, not again. Fill in the blank. Yeah. So, and the next question I have for you, what are some things that you recall? And maybe we have one example or maybe two, where you go like, this is driving me crazy. And the question is not what drives you crazy, but what have you seen your animals mirror for you, where you go like, oh boy, I do that sometimes too. Yeah. So, and for the audience, we are not humanizing animals. They're not humans. But I can say that I can say for me, there are times when I'm stressed and my dog and my cat, I currently have one dog, one cat, they mirror that. They get more like cuckoo gaga crazy, or my dog barks more, or does other things. Yeah. Just to give you some random examples here. So, are there some things where you say there are certain traits that mirror something for me where I can learn more about myself, where I thought it's maybe just them, but when I take internal inventory, there was something going on with me too. So that would be my next question. So what are some of the trigger pieces where you learn something about yourself that were challenging, where you go like, oh, this or that? And maybe there wasn't. I can say for me, there were certainly instances where I was challenged and I had to really scan myself and see, can I come back into a more balanced state to really see what my animal is trying to communicate with me? What about you?
Something came up for me. So yeah, sleep. Cats. I thought that I just didn't sleep because I had cats, because they do like to wake you up, and I think that's partly true. But both my girls have transitioned; they're not physically with me anymore, and what I've learned is that I created that chaos in the middle of the night and disturbed my own sleep, and that this is something, yeah, that they were just showing up to show me that I already have this thing that for me to work on around sleep. And maybe it's my worthiness around sleep. I haven't solved this one yet, but they definitely highlighted it for me, and I'm still working on it.
Awesome. Great. I remember we had quite a few conversations about that. Yeah. Yeah, I remember. And for other people who listen to us, there are cats that vocalize at night. It is a thing. It can be a thing, especially when they're in discomfort. So, but great. So you learned that you created that. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome realization, I want to say. Not awesome that you don't sleep, but awesome realization. What about anybody else?
I'm happy to share.
Yep.
So one of the practices in yoga, and really one of the main sutras in yoga, is that yoga begins now, which has been translated as the present moment and the importance of the present moment. And all of this mindfulness and the power of now and all of those things have become very sort of popular, if not pop culture in their vernacular. But actually doing it is a very different thing. And one of the things that I had learned from both our kitties is that they were very much in the present moment. In the sense that they did not hold thoughts about things that had happened 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 years ago, 2 decades ago. They didn't hold on to that in their mental thought. They weren't ruminating over it. And so they were such a teacher for, I am here in this moment. I actually need something now. This is not related to what happened in the past. And so I think about that a lot in terms of how they have taught me to be in the present moment. Again, this is a practice, definitely not something that I am perfect at, by no means. But how can I be more present with what is happening now? How is my body feeling now? What is my nervous system experiencing now? Do I need to eat or hydrate now? What is really important in the now, as opposed to all of the stories and the mental sort of proverbial baggage that I may be carrying into this moment that can affect the beauty of this moment. So yeah, Kat's teaching presence, I think, has been profound.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
What about Ender or Lindsay? Any things that come to mind?
Yes, I'll go ahead. Well, Rima's always tried to teach me things, and I think 60% of the time I was just completely unaware that he was trying to teach me something. But I do remember this one time I tried to brush his teeth. Oh, and I should say the reason why Remus probably wasn't a loud cat at night, it was because he had full freedom. You know, he could just, I had a little door on my window and he could just leave and come back at 3 in the morning. And at that time, I would be up until 3 in the morning. So it worked out. And, but back to the original thing is that one time I tried to brush his teeth. And you know, I thought, well, this is the right thing to do. I'm gonna brush your teeth, Remus. I'm sorry, this is intrusive. I'm gonna grab you. I'm gonna do this. I'm sorry. And I swear that at the time I didn't realize it, but he said something like, "Don't do it, really don't." But I did it anyway, and he disappeared for 7 hours. Meaning like I was very, very scared. It was me 5 in the morning running around the neighborhood looking for my cat, yelling his name, and really, really scared. And then after 5 in the morning, something around 5, he shows up. He's like, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, now we can go inside. Okay. The lesson I learned, which took me like 48 hours to figure out. Well, first it's like, okay, I'm not going to brush his teeth anymore because he doesn't like it. But the other thing was, wait a second. At that time, I would let people around me basically define what I would be doing, you know, like what people, you know, basically, you know, this need for service that a lot of us have, you know, especially during this time, like you want to serve others, and that, you know, that works. That's really great. But at that time, I was just that would be like my priority. My priority would be to make other people happy and not really make myself happy. So the lesson I learned was like, look, when somebody's trying to make you do something that you don't want to do, you don't do it. You make a point, a very, very strong point that you don't want to do it. If it makes them uncomfortable, very sorry, you have to move on. And so that's what I learned. I learned that, and I'm, you know, I've been pretty good at it for quite some time. And that was the one lesson that I learned. There are many others, but that one, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. I just picture it. I'm very visual. Lindsay, is anything coming up for you? Thanks, Andrew.
There's many things that come up, but I was trying to kind of narrow it down to one. I mean, obviously, one thing that dogs have always taught me is patience. But the other, just thinking of the ways that we mirror or our dogs mirror us. My dog Diego and I have a very similar rhythm. Like we kind of joke about it. Like he loves to meditate into the fire during the winter months. Like I have my own meditation practice. And I also noticed that when we get anxious, we're similar in how we respond. I like to kind of go inward, but he'll go underneath my chair and hide when he feels anxious. But he always has to be with me to let me know that he's feeling overwhelmed. And so it's a beautiful reminder that when I do get overwhelmed, like how am I handling myself right now? How is this feeling to me? And just that Diego and I have that kind of unspoken understanding of our own rhythms and how similar we can be and how we mirror each other for sure.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. So what did we learn? Don't brush your cat's teeth.
Can I share something else real quick?
Yeah.
About a lesson? Okay, one thing that Remus used to do a lot was hunt mice, outside mice, and bring him to me. And of course, they do that, right? But I did get telepathic messages from him a few times telling me, kind of like, this is not just a cat thing that I'm doing, but like, do you understand? Can you do this? Can you survive on your own if you had to? Like, are you able to be on your own and stand your own 2 feet, and take care of yourself? Because I could if I had to. And and I learned that lesson later, and I'm fully on that road, on that path now. But at that time I wasn't. I was younger and I was still dependent on people. And but yeah, those are the lessons that really I remember clearly, being able to be independent if necessary.
Beautiful, beautiful, awesome, awesome. So I wanted to, yeah, this is so great. This is so great. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. We have a little bit more time, and I wanted to transition into an exercise, actually, and hopefully that's enriching for our audience too, who are watching us while we are processing here live on screen. And I would like you to just take a moment, take a few breaths. And this is an exercise I often do in my workshops. And it really doesn't matter whether the animal is still with you, whether the animal has crossed over, whether it was an animal when you were a little kid. It really doesn't matter, And this is the exercise. And really breathe into it, really breathe into it. I want to just give a little disclaimer, that is that we often talk about our animals and we do not talk to them. And talking about is good. And we also want to practice talking to them, or even better, listening. And this is the exercise. So when you hear this, close your eyes for a moment, whoever is listening. If you have a notepad, you might take a note, notes, whatever it is that works for you. And this is the exercise. You imagine one of your pets, both of your pets, 3 of your pets, whoever it is. And this is the question. It's an internal inquiry question. If you could talk to me right now, if you could talk to me right now, what would you say? And maybe we can bring everybody back on screen with us. So when you are ready, Kelly, Ender, Lindsay, and Ava, we can bring you back on the screen. Can we bring everybody back on the screen, please? I guess, there they are. Beautiful. There they are. So, what is it that is coming through that you can channel through you, and that is not your voice? We all can do that, by the way. We don't have to hire special channels with crystals over the head. We can, which is fun, but we don't have to. If you could speak to me right now, and just when you feel something is coming up, uneditedly speak it into this container here. Yeah.
So it's not really words, actually. I just feel very much enveloped in love. And it started in my heart. And I just feel like, yeah, I'm sort of surrounded by a love bubble, if you will, from both my girls.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Brick by brick, we're doing it. And I have to explain that. Do you need me? Do you want me to?
If you want to, yes.
Yeah. Remus and I are building what I've been calling a bridge to heaven. And it's a bridge to the higher dimensions or to the higher planets where beings go after they die, when what we call lower planets, or the lower and higher, it's relative, but and that's like my thing that I do, and that's our thing that we've been doing since he moved on. And when I tuned in to him, that was the image. It was really an image, and it's a brick in my hand. I knew it was my hand, brick by brick. We're doing it, and we are doing it. That's my collaboration, our collaboration to the growth in planetary consciousness. That
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah.
Very sweet. The words that I heard along with an image, the words that I heard were, "I'm here." And I saw this image. I'm not sure if I can put it up to the camera, but Miss Curry used to sit with her paws in front and her tail tucked. And that's the image that I saw with her today.
Can you hold it up again? Yeah.
Yeah, hold that up again. It's just her front paws with her tail around the front. She used to sit so regally and royally. And I heard, "I'm here" with that image.
I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lindsay, did anything come up for you?
Yeah, actually, one of my biggest heartbreaks was my German Shepherd, Kona, when he passed away in 2016. And he came in right away and said, "I'm still protecting you." Because one of the hard things about him is he was a big German Shepherd, and I always felt very protected by him. And now we only have one dog, but we had only two little dogs, and I wouldn't say that I felt always protected in the way that Kona did. And that was really beautiful. Spanky came in at the very end and just gave me his cute smile that he always would give us. So yeah, felt very loving.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. And I want to recommend that when you, and I'm talking to everybody here, when you feel really, really lost, that could be a beautiful exercise, just a minute or so, to if you could talk to me right now, what would you say? And just start journaling if that speaks to you. And let me just see, there is a little note here. Yes. I find this very powerful when, it doesn't happen much for me. It's just because I work so much in this area, right? But I find it a very beautiful practice to also, I noticed, I don't know about you, that when this question was put out, it became quieter. Everybody went more inward. Yeah. And we were still talking, we're still engaging here, but it creates peace when we do that connection, and whether that is like Ava described, it's more of a sensory experience. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be words, right? So, and thank you for sharing this. This is beautiful. And I hope it is enriching for those of you who are watching us also. We are coming closer to the end of this broadcast. So I wanted to mention a few more things before I wrap it up with all of you. So please stay with me on the screen. First of all, I want to invite everybody to stay in this vulnerable space, this beautiful, sacred, vulnerable space where we don't have to put up a front. Because the truth is, our hearts are so vast and they get bigger and bigger the more we live and the more we experience dying, also, you know. And one of my favorite quotes is from Mitch Albom, Tuesdays with Maury, where he says, "Death ends a life, not a relationship." And that's something I live by. Yeah. A few more things for those of you who are interested to explore this topic of transition and grief and navigation of the sacred and the practical. If anybody feels called to explore this more, I have a workshop coming up in June 20th to June 23rd. You find it on my website, petspointofview.com. It is, or you can email me. There is my email. It's a 4-day pet hospice and death doula workshop. And it is it's very practical, but it's also based on self-awareness, because I'm absolutely convinced, based on my life experience, also working in this field, if I'm not aware of myself, I cannot serve. If I'm not aware of my own pain, how can I hold space for your pain? So for me, this is of utmost importance that I learn about this. I have a few more spots available, so anybody who feels called to reach out to me, and we'll talk about it. I know Ava is going to do the workshop. I'm really excited about that. And it's my passion project that I designed this and that I get to offer this. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that when this broadcast is over and you have any more questions for any of us, some of us will stay. There will be a 30-minute Q&A on my Facebook page at Ute Luppertz on Facebook. It is my name. So we transition after this call to a 30-minute Q&A. And that's where you can ask questions, where some of us will stay and answer your questions. So I wanted to mention that. And we would love to hear from you. And if you see this after the live, there will be a replay available as well. You can email me, and it will also be on my Facebook page. And before I ask you my very last thing, I want to mention our fantastic host and producer who is working his magic in the background, Dr. Lauren Harris, who I had the privilege to be interviewed by. And it was his idea to say, why don't we do this? And I said, yeah, let's. And this is why we're all here. So I am absolutely grateful to you, Dr. Lauren. And anybody who wants to find him, he is on every social media platform, and it's Dr. Lauren Michaels Harris also. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So before we wrap this up, popcorn style, what is a takeaway for you? What is a takeaway you want to share with the audience? Like something where you go like, boom, take this, take it in, see how it will process in your heart, in your soul, in your mind. What is a morsel of wisdom or a morsel of takeaway or something else you want to say?
I'll go. I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to be able to speak about my girls, because again, they've changed my life in so many ways. And then I also just wanted to, for a takeaway for anybody listening, if you are at all interested in the Death Doula workshop, I just want to say I didn't do it earlier because I had already planned Mysteries. Like, we knew what was happening there with her death. And then with Nessa, she was so young. She was only 5. And I didn't think that I needed it, but I just want to remind you that we never know when their time is coming, and having, some tools in our belt is just a really beautiful, supportive thing to have when you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you. Kelly.
I think in closing, I would love to say a couple of things. First off, We are greater than we've ever been told. We are not our diagnosis, and we are not our prognosis. Anything can change in any moment. So perhaps plant a seed in your own heart that you are greater than your mind can conceptualize. And in closing, I'd love to say thank you so much, Uta and Dr. Lauren and everyone on this panel. I can just sense and feel the love and the light energy from everyone here. It's just so beautiful. So thank you so much for having me be a part of this group. Such a pleasure.
Mm. Lindsay.
Yes, I too would like to say thank you to you, Uta, and to Dr. Lauren for allowing us this beautiful opportunity to be here and again to talk about our pets. I think just being among this community and having a moment to share in some of the grief and things that we've been through with our animals is just such a beautiful experience. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. Ender.
Okay, my 2 cents on everything is that we the Western world is anthropocentric, or like the world right now. It seems like people think that it's all about humans and animals don't have rights, and some people even think they don't have souls. I mean, we live in a world that believes these things. I'm gonna tell you that is not how the galaxy works. That is not how the universe works. Every soul is equal in the eyes of the galaxy and the universe. It's just how it is. And at one point, we're gonna have some proof, but take that as you will, because it really helps us understand the value of those animals around us and the magic that exists in the universe. And it's not easy to see this magic and live it, and also be on the earth. So that's the little dance that we have to play. Thank you, Ute, for putting this together, and Dr. Laura.
Yeah. So how can I top this, people? It's impossible, and I don't need to top it. So I am honestly over the moon that we did what we did, that I'm just so deliriously happy that we had an opportunity to share. I hope that it was enriching for you. It was absolutely thrilling for me and wonderful for me. And I will see you on the other side on my Facebook page in a minute or two. And we'll answer questions, which you can put in the comment section. And we also hopefully get some links in the comment section. I have to figure that one out, but I will. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Lauren, Lindsay, Kelly, Ava, Ender. I feel privileged and honored to be in your presence. And I see you in 2 minutes on my page. And Dr. Lauren, take it away. And that's a wrap.